Is it recording?
As long as your record button is not grey, can already. Is it recording?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Are there people in the waiting room?
Yeah, there are people in the waiting room.
So we are waiting for... Shall we let them join?
Where? I think let me admit someone first. That's all.
Is there like a message you can send to all the people in the waiting room?
Yeah, I told them already. I told them we're starting soon.
Okay.
Are there any other instructions for us?
Not really. Just present. Oh yeah, then like the Q&A session. So what we'll be doing is, right, Senior will be telling the people that there will be a Q&A session at the end of every wing's presentation. So what they can do is like they can put their questions in the chat, and then at the end, right, during the Q&A time, then the wings can go and check the questions out and like answer which ones they like are applicable to them. Okay?
Okay.
6:05, right? Then we let them in.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, just give me a second.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna admit everyone already.
Hold on. By the way, I can't have a virtual background because I don't really have a solid background. So is it okay if I just leave it like that?
I think it should be fine now.
Okay.
Can I admit everyone? Anyone got anything before they? Any other issues?
No.
Okay, let's go.
Hey, hello everybody. Welcome to the 22nd NUS Student Computing Club Management Committee Annual General Meeting. We would like to give our thanks to everyone who is attending this Zoom conference. We hope that the Q&A sessions held by our election teams yesterday and today were useful to you all. Today, we will be starting off with our President Sherman's speech, followed by the other Vice Presidents, Directors, and Secretaries of our Management Committee. Short Q&A sessions will be held at the end of every wing's presentations. So if you'd like to ask us any questions, please send them to the Zoom chat or use the raise hand button during the designated Q&A time. So without further ado, let's welcome our President Sherman.
Thank you. Sorry, could you stop the screen sharing so I'm able to host my own screen?
Oh, I think you can just share, I think. Then it will override.
But the thing tells me that I can't, so I'll need you to deactivate it.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Okay, so hello everyone, and welcome to the annual general meeting of the 22nd Management Committee of NUS Students Competing Club. And before we delve into the meeting details, I'd like to first acknowledge and welcome all the freshmen that have joined us here at SOC. Now, for the benefit for those who are new to university and faculty, and those who are not so familiar with how the club and student unions operate, our focus as a committee is to further the welfare of undergraduates in SOC. And this meeting is to address all SOC undergrads on the initiatives and events that we have done over the recent academic year. Now, the 22nd Management Committee has worked hard this year, and in this EGM, each of the cell directors will be presenting what they have done over the previous academic year. First of all, I'll be presenting the overall direction that the club has taken. However, I cannot make this speech without talking about COVID and policies at both the government and the university level that were put in place to combat it. The measures put in place to keep the pandemic in control and to keep the student population safe has worked well so far, though in the process, there were severe restrictions on what the club could do. The events that have been a staple of Competing Club's repertoire had to be changed for the current environment. Distancing measures and CCA suspensions prevented the execution of a lot of events that have been prepared and planned since the start of the academic year. Even the plans that went through, there remained a lot of uncertainty in the face of rapidly changing guidelines, in the face of a quickly evolving situation. With all these factors in place, I would like to put to the student members that they are more familiar with our club activities, that this year's AGM will have slightly less content than the usual. However, it is not to say that the crisis stripped us of any initiative that we've had. In reviewing our events and adapting them to a more digital format, we've developed a framework to plan and how to conduct these digital events. This includes how to devise activities that can suit more passive forms of engagement, so for example, Zoom rooms, as well as how to handle large participant counts of over 200 participants. These procedures will help to inform the creation process, especially when expert opinion says that this pandemic is expected to last until next year. And even if we do revert to a more open society where meetings are more permissible, this digital framework can allow us to make events more accessibly and allow students to enjoy our events from a remote platform. And another aspect that we wanted to handle in our current term was to further build the community identity. And there are multiple approaches to take, but the one I like to highlight was to make student efforts more visible. We've engaged with the faculty's administrative departments to designate some prominent spaces within the faculty space to display the achievements of the student body. And one of the examples is that we actually made a long-term arrangements with the school administration for these banner spaces, and we do plan to rotate banners as new achievements come about. Now, this will be elaborated on more later, and I'll give more time for the other scholars to describe their achievements. But I'd also like to take the time to give thanks to the people who have supported our club activities during our term, starting with our club advisors for contributing their experience and helping us to navigate through the struggles of adapting to this new COVID world. And myself, I also like to thank the presidential wing for their inputs and oversight over the club throughout the year, as well as support when personal events require my absence for a short period of time. Next will definitely be the directors and the deputies of the different cells, as well as the various project directors and subcommittee members whose hard work and sleepless nights made the events possible, and even more so that as the semesters progressed, they excelled in facing the evolving restrictions and guidelines, adapting their plans and drafts to make sure all who are involved, be it committee member or participant, are safe. I would also like to thank the various officers of SOC who have discussed and collaborated with us and were open to hearing and addressing the needs of the student body. I would also like to have to thank them for being understanding of the various mistakes and slip-ups that we made along the way, and would like to reinforce that community is one of the last few times before transitioning to the workplace we're actually able to learn from your mistakes. The people around you are actually very supportive in the things that you do. And last but not least, of the members of the committing undergrad student body, your participation in our various events are what helps to build our committing identity, and your thoughts and feedback that come to us through our various channels are what we use to help inform our club's direction, as well as what we use to support the ideas and initiatives when we bring it up to the faculty and university management to justify that this is exactly what our student body requires. Now, thank you for attending this year's AGM, and I'll pass on the time to the other committee members to continue elaborating on the efforts and initiatives for this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherman. Next up, the General Secretary Excel will present. So just give me a minute to share my screen. Will you guys be able to see my screen now? Okay, so hi everyone. I'm going to be presenting about the General Secretary cell now. My name is Xing Yue, and I'm the General Secretary of the 22nd.
Wait, Xing Yue. You're not on the slides. Your screen not on the slide.
It's still not the slide.
No, not the slide.
Oops. Let me figure this out, sorry. You see the slides now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Oops. Fine. Sorry, I'm very sorry about this. You see the slides now? Yeah, so continue from where I stopped just now. My name is Xing Yue. I'm the General Secretary for the 22nd Management Committee, and the Secretariat cell is made up of myself and Natasha, who is my assistant. Today, I will be going through 3 main points. Firstly, the objectives that we had as the General Secretaries of the MC, our duties that we had to fulfill as the General Secretaries, and last but not the least, the things that we feel could have been done better in terms of our role. Our first objective as General Secretaries was to have an overall supervision of the club and its events. This meant that we had to organize general meetings for the club and ensure that it was being run smoothly, such as this annual general meeting happening right now. Secondly, we had to manage information that was passed to us and make sure that everyone in the management club was kept up to date with the events occurring at any point of time. Thirdly, we also had to take responsibility of the MC members' welfare, such as organizing events to strengthen the bonds between MC members. Moving on, our duties as General Secretaries that we carried out were things like overall administration, which required us to organize and coordinate general meetings and take meeting minutes to ensure that there is always a record of what's happening during these set meetings. We also had to take charge of official club records, such as the information of the students within our computing club management committee and other important records. Next, we also in charge of information disbursement, which meant that we had to send out weekly newsletters to the students of School of Computing. And sometimes we announce and remind students of our own events through a dedicated Telegram channel. Lastly, we also have to manage the club rooms property and keep track of other club property, such as the 100 things we have stored in the club storeroom. In this next section, I'll be sharing a few points about what we feel. Looking back at our time spent as the General Secretaries of the 22nd MC. As for information management and disbursement, I think we did a fairly good job, as we were consistent in our newsletters to the student body, and any Telegram messages requested by our own MC were sent out promptly without any delay. However, we feel that within the MC itself, there are still some roles and objectives we felt to achieve and fulfill during our term, such as ensuring the effective communication between different cells of the MC, specifically the presidential cells and the rest of the MC, as we feel that our weekly meetings within the presidential cell made the other MC members fall out of the loop. We also regret not being able to bond the MC members as much as we wanted to, as some of us from different cells barely communicate. We end up still feeling like acquaintances or colleagues more than friends. With the coming elections, we hope to able to find new general secretaries within the capabilities and resolve to continue doing what we didn't do well, and what we did well, as well as improve on what we didn't do well. Yeah, to make the management committee as well as the committee club to be a more enjoyable place. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so let me stop my sharing first. Yeah. So next up, we'll have the finance secretary to present.
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Roy and I'm the Deputy Finance Secretary of the committee. I'll be starting off today's presentation and later on Darius, who is the Financial Secretary, will be taking over. So this will be the brief overview of our sharing. We will start off with a recap of the finance cell's objectives and duties, following which we'll talk about some of the highlights in the financial year, as well as elaborate on some improvements that can be made. Lastly, we will share on what's left for the finance cell for the rest of our term and conclude. I will now start with the objectives. The finance cell has two main objectives. The first is to be responsible and accountable for all finance matters. Next, we wish to make financial matters easier to handle for the rest of the club. These are our duties. Our duty is to firstly plan the budget for the upcoming financial year, and this is done only at the beginning of the term. The rest of the duties are things that we are required to do throughout the year. These will include depositing earnings and sponsorship proceedings to the OFS cashier promptly, processing payments to vendors and reimbursements to students without delay, keeping track of earnings and expenditures, and liaising with the Office of Financial Services. And lastly, we also answer all inquiries related to financial matters in the club. Now I'll move on to talk about some of the highlights of the financial year. The first key highlight would be payments to vendors and the processing of student claims. What we have done throughout the year to make the processing smooth is to provide printed documentation and templates for easy reference in the club room. We also briefed finance representatives of the various cells thoroughly on the proper finance procedures. Next, we also communicated with OFS to clarify any doubts regarding payment whenever we weren't sure. We also set up an Excel spreadsheet to track the status of the various RFP submissions. After some evaluation, we felt that this generally went smoother as compared to the previous year, as there were less issues pertaining to RFP form submissions and less rejections. The process was also much faster compared to the previous year, and OFS provided prompt monthly statement that allowed us to better track transactions. Now I'll pass the time on to Darius, who will be continuing.
Yeah, thanks, Roy. So now, as he talked about the expenses, now I'll be talking more of like the income. So as for the deposition of earnings and sponsorships, which are mainly collecting incomes from our merchandise sales and some events that we charge fees, etc. So for this, there wasn't much of an issue. We actually thoroughly checked the amounts, and also the various cells actually helped us to organize the money properly, such that it was very easy to account for the money and to deposit them. Yeah. As for online payments, so we actually used, previously we did not use NUS FastPay for anything, but for this, actually just recently last month, we used NUS FastPay to facilitate the merchandise sales for Flag. So actually it was actually quite easy to set up, and it was actually very easy to track the data as well of like the transactions and who's buying and all those. So I think in the future we can actually look at expanding this to not just like, for this is just a one-off event, but we can look at expanding this to just our general merchandise sales as well, since we're going to be moving like more things online. Yeah. So for the club expenditure and earnings, so for this, because of COVID, it's actually very different from what we budgeted for, because for example, like FOP became online, so we have about like 90,000 of budget of expense that we actually budgeted for, but we are actually not using them. So for this, we'll actually have to analyze it more in depth during the budget review later next month. So just some of the improvements that we hope for moving forward. So things like better delegation of work between like the two financial secretaries, and then I'll just highlight the key improvements. So one of it would be to actually suggest to OFS whether we can continue with the e-submission of the forms even as the situation gets better, because I think this actually makes it a lot faster and a lot easier to process our payments if we can just do everything online, and like we don't have to run around everywhere chasing for people's signatures. Yeah. Then another way is to also another improvement that is quite important is to improve on the tracking and expenditure, because right now we just created like the Excel sheet, but we also want to see how we can further iterate on it. So moving forward, our next steps will be to prepare for smoother handover for the future finance secretary, and then we will have a budget review as well. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so now I think it will be the IT secretary who will be sharing next.
Yep, let me just share my screen. Okay, hi everyone. So I'm Ian. I'm currently the IT secretary, and I'll be presenting on what we have done so far for the past year. So first, maybe I would like to go through what our mission is. So basically, our mission can be stated as such: is to empower the computing club in their outreach to the student body through IT. And yeah, so right now I think I'll just go through roughly what we have done. I think our roles compared to the other cells are not as prominent. We're kind of like a subtle so-called agent in the background. So the most prominent things that we have done is basically with regards to websites management. Basically, we have updated websites such as our main computing website. And we have also helped the other cells with the websites that they need. So these are in order: the recruitment that we had, the recruitment websites, and the FOP websites. And we also had a website for a hackathon with a cat cell. And the elections website was done by us as well. Yeah, so I think the IT cell, mainly our work is really just focused on doing websites for the constituent cells for now. So I think with regards to that, there are some things you can improve on. I'll talk about that later. And the other thing that we do is to manage tools for our daily operations. So what exactly are these tools? These would be things like your internal emails. So this is a G Suite. We help to create the email accounts, we migrate the emails, we organize an email group, and yeah, like if you need to reset your password, we're the ones that do it for you. And now that we're on G Suite, the other thing we do is to manage the access to the shared drive. So basically, these are things that is used internally by the Com Club. Yep. Yeah, so that's kind of pretty much what we have done. It is very kind of like lacking in volume, but honestly, we don't really have much roles to take on. So here are some things that I would suggest we can improve on. Firstly, the websites that we have are actually sort of platforms that the constituent cells can use for their outreach to the students. So I think right now, even though we have 5 websites, there are certainly more things that we could have done. Here is an example. So we could have created an online catalog for marketing, or like an online photo showcase for publicity. And I think because of the COVID, a lot of things have went on virtual, but we didn't really end up helping the various cells with that. So if this thing drags on to the next summer, probably the next ITE sec can think about what they can do. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I think we initially had a plan to sort of come up with student-related activities, projects for the students to work on, but we eventually found out that actually NUS IT had the same plan, so to avoid the conflict of resources, we just had to abandon that idea. So that's all for me. I think I would like to thank everyone in the 23rd MC. It's been great working with everyone, and as well as my secretary for helping me to deal with a lot of the website management. Thanks everyone.
Thank you, Yiyuan. So now we will have our Q&A session for President and all the secretaries. If anybody have any questions, can use the raise hand button. Since there is no question, we'll move on to student development wing first. If there are any questions for us, you can also ask later. So next, we'll have our VPSD Yap Kai to present.
Right, thank you, Xingyue. Are you able to see my screen? Can I? All right, can see. Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm Vice President for Student Development Wing. I'm Yap Kai, and today I'll be presenting on my segment regarding the Student Development Wing by itself. So basically, this is our core team. Let me just shift the video aside for a bit. Yeah. So okay, so this is our core team. We have Jiahui and Kimi who are under the academic license cell, and we have Benedict and Vivek who are under the community service cell. So me, myself, I'll be handling both sides and making sure that we cover academics and community service before the COVID period and during the COVID period. All right, so this is our structure. And just want to quickly share that, so for the academic license cell, we have mock practical exams, winter workshop, career launchpad, hackathon, and academic day. While our community service cell, handles on flag day, elderly service project, as well as children's service project, as per you can see in the structure. Okay, so a basic, I would say, description about ourselves. So the academic license cell promotes learning interest to facilitate academic pursuits, while the community service cell promotes culture and giving among community students the platform to contribute not only to just our internal community, but the external organizations as well. All right, so I want to share a little bit more about our so-called leadership approach between myself, Vice President, as well as my directors together. So this year's approach was to actually greatly reflect on our past year AGM report to focus on the improvements and areas of concern. So, I mean, having the report from past years actually shows that we need to actually improve, right? So therefore, we identified 4 points in this aspect. So first is to create better incentives for students. Secondly is to lower the attrition rate, all right, to make sure that members are still committed in the events that they sign up for. The third thing will be to be technology focused so that we can teach elderly more about technology. And the fourth thing is to increase the retention rate between our subcommittee members. All right. So our cell directors and I, we actually initiated this thing called the Wing Together. It's actually a bi-monthly meetup for the entire subcommittee to actually meet together, create bonding opportunities, through music, dinner, and talking. So this is actually one way to so-called bond our committee and to increase the retention rate of our members. Okay, so this is actually a few posters that we have made regarding the Wing Together to entice students to actually come on board for our bonding session. Right, and now the next question will be in terms of COVID-19 continuity plan. Okay, we all know that COVID-19 has affected all our physical planning from hackathons to academic day, career launchpad, etc. So we want to find ways, right, to continue working on our contributions to the student, okay, despite COVID-19. So that being said, we are actually tasked to either cancel or convert into a virtual event. And therefore, I've also appointed our Assistant Director for Academic Liaison Cell, Kimi, to be my stand-in case anything happened during the COVID-19 situation, all right? So moving on, I'm just quickly going to share about the Academic Liaison Cell. These are the events that they handle. Whereas for the Community Service Cell, these are the events that they handle as well. All right, and for this year, the budget breakdown, as per you can see, there's actually a budget surplus. Because everything is run virtually, right? So there's quite a surplus in terms of our budgeting funds that will be brought forward to next year. So in terms of my review, okay, it might be a bit wordy right here. So I'm just going to bring out the key points. Okay, so yes, number one, it's a challenging year. Secondly, a lot of activities are temporarily stopped. Okay. Third factor is that because of the situation, members are not motivated enough. All right, and it may be because of external factors like COVID and the virtual the virtual meetings. So having face-to-face meetup could have been more genuine lah. I mean, rather than going virtual. I mean, everyone would agree, but we have to adapt to changes. All right. But however, there are a few positive points we see during this situation. Okay, productivity and efficiency actually increase. Okay, across all the cells, and we have chosen to innovate and deploy new strategies rather than cancelling our events. So I want to thank all our directors as well as the subcommittees who have actually painstakingly contributed to this effort. Okay, and as you can see, the rough times that we are facing, handling of the pandemic, handling of non-responsive members, and handling of the inter-cell collaboration in the virtual world. So no doubt, these are the issues that we face and we have to overcome. Okay, not everything is perfect in this particular situation, but we make the best out of it lah. Okay, what can be done better, or rather the improvements that we wish could be done in time to come. So firstly, it's actually to allocate more welfare budget for the organizing committee so that our members can actually be presented with something appreciative given their work. Okay. Secondly, it's actually to work better within ourselves so that those who are specialized in certain skill sets can actually help collaborate in the event. All right. And the third improvement will actually to have early discussions with our advisors so that we can get the plans up straight and ensure that things go well accordingly and not subject to any last minute changes. All right, and that being said, I would like to recognize a few of our members from the committee and the subcommittee. So these are the people who has contributed a lot, okay, to our academic liaison cell as well as the community service cell. So we have our directors, Jiahui, Kimi. Okay, thank you to the subcom, Jiayu, Andrea, Siddharth, Matthew, Zepin, Eugene, Jovin, James, Sean, Daniel, Joel, Shutan, Jay, Runlin, Zhi, and Gabriel. Okay, for Com Service Cell, thank you to Benedict, Vivek, Shimin, Joan, Samuel, Joyce, Xinghui, Shenshi, Spender, Shihui, Andrea, Runlin, Wenyi, Olivia, Arihan, Rihao, Constance, Marcus, Desmond, Shutan. Right. So in conclusion, our entire wing braved through the pandemic. We managed to think out of the box and converted most of our events to the virtual style. So we have gained much support from our management subcommittees and overcome all the challenges that's presented to us during this pandemic situation. Therefore, I would like to hand over now the time to our academic liaison cell as well as the community service cell to share with you more in depth about what we have done in the past 1 year during our term. Okay, thank you everyone.
Thank you, Yap Kai. Next, we'll have academic liaison cell to share.
Hello, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, I think Jiahui will be the one starting. Yeah, okay, so hi everyone, I'm Jia Hui, the Director of Academic Liaison Cell, and then with Kimi, the Deputy Director of Academic Liaison Cell, and then we work together with our subcom to organize the events. Yeah, so next slide. Yeah, so here are some of the events that we've organized as well as our upcoming events. Yeah, and then the objectives of our cell is to promote yeah, so the objectives of our cell is to promote learning interest and to facilitate the academic pursuits of students in SOC, and we do so by organizing events as well. And we also want to be the bridge between the student population as well as the school regarding academic matters. Yeah, so I'll be sharing about the first event, which is winter workshop. Yeah, okay, next slide.
Yeah, this is winter workshop.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so this is an event that was organized last winter to mainly like ease our students into higher level CS and math modules. And this was organized by Andrea, our project director. Next slide.
Sorry, it's like lagging.
Yeah, okay. Andrea is our project director. So we have about 325 participants and 640 attendees so for this. This was held from 17th to 20th December last year. Yeah. So we actually took feedback from the previous MC and improved it during our event. So some of the problems faced was there was too much content for students to absorb, and the venues about issues about the venues. So last year we spread the event over 4 days from 2 days, and we booked a bigger event to accommodate everyone. Yeah. So the next few slides are the content that was taught over the 4 days. So on day 1 we have C++, which is mainly for people taking CS Learning 40C, and day 2 we have math confidence courses, and day 3 is Java confidence course, mainly focusing on CS 2030, and day 4 is also Java confidence, but it's focusing on CS 2040. Yeah. So some areas of sorry, this is expenditure for the event, and then for areas of improvement, actually one good thing is we kind of have a low attrition rate, and it would have been it would have been better if you could release the workshop materials before the event, and also to get more helpers to assist the tutor. Yeah, so that the flow of the lesson could be more smooth, and more help could be rendered for like the students. Yeah. So next I'll be sharing about mock practical exams. Yeah, so this is to mainly give freshmen the opportunity to familiarize with the PE environment. Yeah. Okay, next slide. Yeah, so CS1101S was organized by Jia Yu, our project director, and yeah, we had about 368 signups, and we have 50 signups for CS10S. Yeah, so here's next slide. Yeah, so here's the expenditure for our event, and then areas of improvement. Yeah, so for CS111S, we actually had quite a high sign-up rate and very low attrition rate. But the thing is, the server crashed during the event, so the event had to be cancelled. And it wasn't there wasn't much that could have been done on our side. So like for the next few batches, we do suggest more communication and collaboration with the Source Academy team, so that hopefully this can be avoided. But one good thing that came out from this server crash was the Source Academy team had time to like work on it before the actual PE. Yeah, and then for CS10S, we had a low sign up rate because we the professor suggested that we reuse the old the past year papers for this mock practical, which I guess was something that didn't appeal to students. So I think it might be better if we actually are able to approach the TAs to come up with a fresh set of paper for the students to actually experience, like to simulate the CS, to simulate like the PE environment. Yeah. So our next event is Academic Day, which was just held last July. Okay, so this is our objectives is to mainly like ease freshmen into academic and student life in MUS and SOC. So it was held this July in collaboration with UG Office. Okay, next slide. Yeah. Okay, so we had about 1,000 attendees across all the sessions, and then it mainly consists of senior sharing and faculty briefing, followed by live Q&A. So here are some snapshots of the sharing and live session. Next slide. Okay, so here are some areas of improvements. So firstly, we should have reached out to more seniors earlier and get more seniors from different backgrounds so that it can give like the students a different perspective. And yeah, and also there are a lot of repeated questions that were asked during the Q&A. So it'd be good if you could consolidate FAQs from previous years, so that there wouldn't be like a lot of time spent on answering questions that have been like repeated over and over again. Yeah. So now Kimi will be sharing more about our datathon and upcoming events.
Yeah, thanks, Jiahui. So Datathon is actually one of the more highly attended events throughout our whole entire MC. It was meant to, it was a datathon, so it was meant to ignite passion for data science and really to develop like the student skills to solve real world problems and to provide participants with career internship opportunities. Meanwhile, also to raise like awareness for NUS Students Computing Club. This time around, we had a fully virtual event because of the pandemic. And good news, we managed to secure about 8K total in sponsorship. Thanks, Joanna. We outreached to about 103 teams, which is about 206 participants. We had about 50% plus attrition rate with 13 finalists. Altogether, we had like a workshop at first, followed by a panel discussion and some networking session throughout the event as well. This is some snapshots that we had during our prize presentation. Yeah, it's the top winners. They won iPad, by the way. So shout out to our publicity ICs, Zhi and Gabriel, and our project coordinators, Rinlin and Jay, for helping us throughout. And we're sponsored by 4 main companies, iHis, Shopee, Smart Academy for workshops, and Hallmark for workshops as well. We were really privileged to have met 13 judges thanks to the help of Dr. Bimlesh and Adele for reaching out to them from really esteemed companies, big companies, and even from our faculty as well. Yep, some more. Publicity-wise, we really like to thank Yuan from the IT cell for creating a really beautiful microsite and for a lot of post stories and EDM blast posters from publicity cell. Special thanks to Charmaine, Hui Qing, and Sipin. Yeah. So attendees wise, for our Smart Academy workshop, we had about 70 plus signups. Hallmark's workshop, 70 signups as well. iHis 100 workshop, 800 signups. Yeah. We also had a panel discussion which our VP moderated. It's a really cool session. The topic was about big data, AI. They have been all the rage the past decade and what's the next step. And for our networking sessions, in an effort to link our students to career opportunities from these 3 major companies, iHis, Shopee, and Hallmark. So areas of improvement wise, our attrition rate is 51% for submissions. We were quite happy with workshops and networking. One thing that could be improved on is to increase the publicity efforts. Because of the tight timeline of the event, we didn't manage to push out according to our publicity timeline, so this could have been improved. Zoom links could have been sent more timely, and we could have scheduled more reminders for participants. Sponsorship was kind of iffy because our event was supposed to start in May, July, but we pushed it back because of the pandemic. So we're really grateful to have Hallmark to have been by our side for the whole entire timeline. Yeah. Another issue that we faced, because this is a datathon, we had some privacy concerns regarding data sets. So for the next MC, we recommend that for you guys to seek earlier coordination together with like the sponsorship companies and all. Yeah. Yeah. Internally, we should have expanded our manpower across all divisions to spread the amount of workload. Yeah, this is our budget. I won't go through much. Okay, upcoming events, really excited. We have Career Launchpad 2020. Career Launchpad is basically to promote career-related information for our students for their career preparations. It is really to equip students with relevant skills and tools to stand out in the job market and to facilitate sharing and discussions between like professionals in industries and students. Yeah. So this is led by our project director, Shu Tan. Some activities that we have planned is some workshops for resume writing and technical interviews. These workshops are bound to be hosted by one of our SC alumni from Google. So please do join. It's actually the technical interviews part. It will be really, really helpful. We also have 5 weekly themed panel discussions for 5 themes, which is Big Data, AI, Fintech, Ecommerce, and Cybersecurity. We have reached out and confirmed guests from really major companies like Shopee, PayPal, Visa, Huawei, a lot more on board like PSA, yeah, but we won't put it here to excite you all a bit. And one last event that is bound to happen, mock practical exams for CS 1010 and CS 1010J. We expect to reach out to about 100 to 150 plus students. This will occur in the next semester. Yeah, I think that's all that we have. I would like to spend some time to thank certain people because all events could have been made possible without these people. Specifically Sherman and Yu Hong, the previous directors for the Academic Liaison Cell, for their support and advice. Dr. Bim Lesh and Miss Adele Chu for really helping us and your constant support for guiding us through different situations and emergencies. Joanna for really linking us with Shopee. The publicity cell, really thank you so much for last minute revisions, Hui Ting, Kwangju specifically. The Gen Sec like Xingye and Natasha for helping us publicize the event on the channels. Yap Kai, especially our VP, for really providing us so much mentorship throughout our whole entire term, and all our project directors. Really thank you so much. Yeah, that's it. Long list. I think next up we have our our sister cell comm service. Yeah.
Thank you, Kimi and Jiahui. We'll have community service cell next.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, everyone see the screen, my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good evening, everyone, and members of the 22nd Management Committee. My name is Benedict. I'm the director of the Community Service Cell, and I'm here today along with Vivek, Deputy Director, to present what we've done this year. So in a brief outline, we're going to present the events we had throughout the year, as well as our goals for these events. So for ourselves, we have 3 objectives we want to achieve. So firstly, to provide an avenue to NUS computing students to support external welfare organizations in need. Secondly, to inspire change in others. And lastly, to instill a community-oriented spirit. So these are our subcommittees of Black children and elderly. And these are the events we conducted. Most of them were held during the semester break. So Kickstart is our first event, which aims to give SOC students an opportunity to teach children programming. Our budget was $600, but this was unused as the event was moved online. So this is our publicity poster for the initial recruitment. And this is Scratch. We used it to introduce the children to programming in a more visual manner. And the maze at the bottom is similar to the game that the children were developing. And here's a screenshot of the event. Shimin, the project director, alongside the volunteers, Dr. Bimlesh and Chi Chiu. The images of the children have been removed for privacy reasons. So in summary, it's like long text here, but the event went well. Although the volunteers felt that there were too few sessions in this program. So also with data science, our next event, we wanted to cultivate an interest in data science for children. So it was held after Kickstart with the same children and volunteers, and there's no budget for this. So the set of tools here were developed by our web developer, Samuel, to supplement the program. And we also use VisBlocks, an extension of Scratch. And it's a project by NUS students managed by Dr. Biblesh. And it really helped with the visualization of data. So in summary, the project went quite well, but it needs a bit more time to show students to show that the students can apply the concepts learned from the program. So our next initiative was also to help develop a website for Code for Community, an organization by Dr. Bimlesh, so that SOC students can learn more about it, as well as take up volunteering opportunities. And here's the front page of the site, as well as some additional information of current and past events on the site about Code for Community. And yeah, so for this program, the site is still under review by Ms. Adele. So now Vivek will take over this section.
Okay, thanks, Ben. So for the IT literacy project, it is done by the Elderly Service Project team, and is to teach like elderly from Blossom Seeds how to use mobile applications such as like WhatsApp, YouTube, and Zoom, especially during this COVID-19 period. So we were allocated a budget, but this budget was not used since the event was moved online. And in the next slide, you can see a screenshot of one of the YouTube videos for Tamil, and then another in WhatsApp in Chinese. And for this project, we had made slides for Zoom in English and Chinese, while for the WhatsApp and YouTube videos, we had volunteers help us with the making of like voiceovers, as well as like translations of the subtitles from English to Chinese, Malay, and Tamil. And the beneficiary, Blossom Seeds, feedback that the Zoom slides helped them. However, we are still waiting on feedback for our videos themselves. And for this project, our members helped to produce some of the videos, although we could have improved on the fact that there was no clear specification on the format of the videos, as we did not really discuss this fully beforehand. Next, our flag project team helped to launch a merchandise sale, and this complemented the NUSU's online donation drive. The aim of this event was to raise funds for Fernvale Garden School, as well as to raise awareness of our sale through this event. We were allocated $1,000 for this event, and the details are in the slides. So this is a screenshot of our fast-paced store that we used. And then the ads in the next slide were made by the graphics team. And the ads were posted on Telegram to promote the Gift.Asia page, as well as the merchandise sale, which complements the event, both raising funds for the community chest. A picture of the Gift.Asia page. So the funds shown here are actually for all the faculties combined. And in the next slide, there's a video we produced by our flag committee, and this video was shown during FOP. So overall, we found this event to be very successful, as all the shirts were sold out, and it has definitely brought some exposure to the community service cell. And we also had some cancelled events. For example, Love Bites was cancelled due to a lack of a suitable sponsor, and the others were cancelled due to COVID-19, as they were to be held in person. But we came out with the other events to supplement this change. And these are the stipulated budgets of the cancelled events. And with that, Ben and I would like to thank these cells, organizations, and people for all their help throughout the entire year. Yeah. Do you all have any questions?
Thank you. Actually, we will now move on to the Q&A session. Yeah, thanks Benedict and Vivek. We'll have a short Q&A session for the student development cell, student development wing, as well as presidential wing right now. If anyone has any questions, please leave them down in the chat section. Yeah, we will be waiting for the questions for 1 minute, but if there are no questions, we will be moving on to the next wing. Okay, the next wing that we'll be presenting is Student Life Wing. We'll have VPSL zooming first.
Can everyone see my slide?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm Kang Soo-min, and I'm the Vice President of Student Life for the 22nd Computing Club Management Committee. Yeah, so this is the contents for today's presentation. So first, I'll be starting off with the structure of Student Life Wing, and then I'll introduce you the members of Student Life Wing, and then I'll talk about the goal of Student Life Wing, and then I'll move into the details for the freshman orientation project itself, their main events, the budget, and then after that, I'll talk about the student relations cell, their main events, their budget, and then I'll move on to the reflections and acknowledgements, and then I'll talk about moving forward what we can do for the next management committee. Yeah, so this is a rough structure of Student Life Wing. We have two cells, freshman orientation projects and student relations. As stated in its name, the freshman orientation project cell is in charge of all orientation events for freshmen each year. So namely, we have freshman social camp, freshman orientation week, receive and giving, bash. However, due to the COVID-19 situation, these events were cancelled during our term and they were replaced by EFOP. As for student relations cell, this is where we organize bonding activities for students on a more personal level. This year, we had our very first Millennium, which the student relations directors will talk more about later. We also have Angel and Mortal, which we continued from the previous management committee. And finally, we have Computing Day. This was also the first time student relations cell took charge of Computing Day. Next, I would like to introduce the Student Life family. Starting from left, we have Vinod, our FOP director, Trisha, our FOP deputy director, myself, the vice president of student relations, Hoshan, and Anthony, who is the student relations deputy director. So our team has worked hard for the past year to put together all our Student Life events, and they will be going into the details of their cell activities later. So to tell you more about Student Life, the main goal of Student Life Wing is to enhance students' school life by organizing engaging in-school activities that not only adds fun and joy to a student's academic life, but also serves to bring the School of Computing community together. I will now move on to FOP Cell's key events this year. As mentioned earlier, many of our physical events had to be cancelled during our term, and hence we organized an online EFOP to replace the 4 physical events. It was held from 17th to 18th July this year, and the FOP directors will be explaining more in depth about the execution of EFOP later on. This is the brief budget sheet for FOP Cell. As you can see, all of our events had expenses but no revenue, as our money-making events such as Bash, where participants pay for tickets, and physical camps, where participants pay a camp fee, were cancelled. Although the physical events were cancelled because we have started planning and preparing for these events, we had expenditure for first aid courses, NUSU band orientation course, and logistics, which was unavoidable as the COVID-19 situation was unforeseen. Next, for student relations, we organized 3 events in total. Firstly, we have Millennium, a 2-day event which consists of an amazing race and an escape room. It was aimed at promoting awareness and appreciation of different cultures, as well as aiding in assimilation of international students into the SOC community. Hence, we made sure to include cultural elements into our escape room and amazing race. Hoshan and Anthony will talk about Millennium in their presentation. Secondly, we have Angel and Mortal, which is a continued event from last year. This year, we managed to reach out to 84 computing students, which is a higher number compared to previous years. Last but not least, we have the 2020 Computing Day. This will be our first ever online computing day.
and hence we introduced new activities to Computing Day, such as Professors Ask Me Anything session. Our Computing Day has not been executed yet. It will be executed on 2nd September, and more details will be released to the staff and the SOC community later on. This is the rough student relations budget for this year. Similarly, we also don't have much revenue for this year. So these are my reflections and acknowledgements. As a whole, albeit met with countless obstacles and challenges posed by the volatile situation, both FOP Cell and SR Cell were able to tide over many difficulties smoothly, with firm teamwork and a strong drive to serve the SOC community. Thanks to subcommittee members and helpers' commitment, FOP Cell and SR Cell could assist in bringing the community together and integrating new members into SOC family. Moving forward, the COVID-19 crisis was an unexpected calamity that severely affected the execution of many computing club events, especially freshman orientation projects. We have tried and tested our very first eFOP, and we'll be passing on the documentation of every trial and error that we went through to the next management committee, so that they'll be able to build on our failures and successes and pull off an even better FOP, be it online or offline. Same goes for student relations. We have executed many new events this year, such as Millennium and Online Computing Day. Similarly, we'll be passing on our experience to our future committee members. We have tided over this unprecedented crisis, and we believe that the next committee will be able to do the same and perform even better than we did, as they are more prepared and they have more experience. Yeah, that concludes my presentation. And I would like to thank everyone for listening to my presentation today. Next, the FOP Cell will be talking about FOP events.
Thanks, Su Ming. I think next up we will have Student Relations Cell to present first.
Okay, wait.
Okay, yeah, I think we just introduce ourselves first. So I'm Hoshen, Director of Student Relations.
Okay, then I'm Anthony, Deputy Director of Student Relations. Okay, so for student relations, right, I'll just go through what our responsibilities are first, which is actually we are supposed to maintain the student lounge. So for those of you who don't know, there's actually a student lounge, which is a room in Com 1 Level 2. Then we also maintain the communication channels, such as Facebook and Instagram, as well as create engaging and fun events for the student body. Right, so I'll go through each of them one by one. For maintenance of students' lounge, what we do is we try to once per semester keep it neat and then comfortable for students to take a break as well. And then we also regulate the booking of room by other cells. So for example, welfare cell, right? Usually they'll use student lounge to give away their welfare packs. So they need to inform us before they actually use the room so that we can block out the appropriate timings for them, right? And then maintenance of communication channels. We actually assign this task to our subcom member. So if let's say a subcom member is not able to answer any questions, usually what she'll do is she'll approach us for advice, then we'll tell her what she can do or what she can answer. And what we try to do our best, right, is to actually make sure that all the messages on the social media channels are answered as fast as possible. And then now we'll move on to the events that we had for the past year. Firstly, we had our Melorium event, which, like Su Min mentioned, was supposed to try to integrate international students to SOC as well, because a lot of international students, most of the time they feel quite left out when they come to SOC. So this was actually the initial aim of the event. But to be very honest, when we run the event, right, and we try to get participants to come, most of them were local students. So I think this is something that needs to be improved on, because we actually reach out to all the international students quite late. And if we reach out to them a little bit earlier, the participation rate would have been a lot better, I believe. So like what Sumin said, there are two different components here, Amazing Race and Escape Room. For Melorium, it's actually a brand new event, right? So we actually have to plan everything from scratch. So I would say it's like a mini FOP, right? And for those of you who are, let's say you decide to join SR, right? I believe this is actually an event that you can continue to host. Then, like, we actually expected 24 participants, but turns out for each of the days for Amazing Race, there were 30 and a scale limit of 35. So we actually exceeded our expectations. So now we'll move on to Hoshen, who will share about Angel Mortal and Computing Day.
Yeah, so the second event that Student Relations held last year, semester 2, was Angel Mortal. So Angel Mortal, the goal is to provide students with an opportunity to make friends with people that they don't really get a chance to meet. So this can be like students from different courses and international versus local students. Because within SOC, there's actually very little interaction between our local and international students, despite having a lot of international students. So this is something that Student Relations constantly tries to work on. Yeah. So Angel Immortal is originally a game that is played in halls and residential colleges. So this is actually only the second time that School of Computing held Angel Immortal. And we are still thinking of ways how we can better adapt it to suit playing within the computing faculty. So basically how Angel Mortal is played is that it's spanned over a 2-week period where participants basically give each other gifts, small presents and gifts like snacks or drinks, or maybe just something that they can use in school. Then we end it off with a reveal dinner at the end of the 2 weeks. So although our signups surpassed our expected number thanks to the publicity sale, the turn-up rate for the reveal dinner was actually only about 50%. And this is actually a problem that the previous MC also faced. So this is definitely an area that can be improved on, how we can encourage participants to come for a real dinner and not just participate in the 2 weeks. Another thing that can be improved on, we felt, was the process of how participants exchange gifts. Because currently, the system we use is that we assign each participant a locker. But the problem is that the locker is out of the way for some students. So this is definitely some place we can improve on. Find a different way, a more convenient way that students can give each other presents. Yeah. So now I'm going to move on to Computing Day. Can you change slide? Yeah. So Computing Day is actually our biggest event, and it's going to be held on 2nd September. So Computing Day is an annual event that's held to bring students, professors, and alumni of School of Computing together and just create a sense of community within the faculty. Traditionally, Computing Day is held in the Computing 1 building. However, due to the current social distancing restrictions, we had to move it to online for the first time. Yeah. So moving Computing Day online has definitely brought us some challenges, as we cannot hold the food and game booths, which are always very popular every year. So as a result, we have to think of new activities and booths for students, and yet still make it interesting for them. So what we came up with this year was 3 main components. The first one being student interest group booths, also known as SIGs. The second are student projects. And the last one is a Professor Ask Me Anything panel. So for the first one, student interest group showcases, we invited down some already very known SIGs like NUS Hackers, Greyhats, but we're also inviting down some younger, newer, lesser known groups like NUS Start IT and Rover Team. So basically, for the showcases, right, we just want students to be familiar with the SIGs under School of Computing. Maybe if they find it interesting, they can sign up. With the second component, which is a student project. So we're going to be highlighting projects from Orbital, STEPS, and CS4215. CS4215 is actually associated with Source Academy, which is a platform used to teach computing students. So I think students will be quite interested in that one. And the last one is the Professor Ask Me Anything. So we actually got down some very well-known professors like Professor Ben Leong and Stephen Halim, who is known for competitive programming. Yeah. Okay, on top of this, we're also running lucky draws and small games with prizes, of course. So these prices are actually quite good. They are from things like Nintendo Switch to just GrabFood vouchers. Expected turn-up rate is about 200. Previous years, because it was offline, they get about 1,000 plus students coming and going. However, because online, I think 200 students is quite a modest estimate. Yeah, but we'll see how things go. Right. Yeah, and that is our activities that student relations are in charge of. Thank you.
Thank you, Hoshan and Anthony. Next, we have FOP cell.
Okay. Good evening, all. I'm Trisha, Deputy Director of FOP. And together with Vinod, Director of FOP, we will be going through all the events that were held during the past academic year, 2019-2020. Okay, so before we go straight to the events, I would first like to address the FOP cell's mission and vision. So our mission and vision is to have an inclusive FOP that brings all freshmen and seniors together as one FOP. Next slide. So as such, we originally had 4 events planned out for the upcoming freshmen, namely Freshman Social Camp, Freshman Orientation Week, REC, and DASH. However, due to the COVID-19 situation, these events were not able to be held physically and unfortunately had to be cancelled. Therefore, together with the project directors and committee members of FOP, we introduced our very first online orientation, EFOP. But before I move on to the details of EFOP, we would still like to mention that despite these events being cancelled, we would still like to thank the project directors and their respective committee members for their time and efforts that was put into planning these events before the COVID-19 situation. Moving on to EFOP. So EFOP serves as a platform for freshmen to connect with the SOC community virtually at the comfort of their home. It was conducted over 2 days with 2 sessions each, and we had a total of 84 OGLs, and as such was able to accommodate for a total of 581 freshmen. So during EFOP, we conducted various types of fun and engaging activities as a form of platform for freshmen and seniors to build new friendships and forge lasting bonds with one another. We had games such as Who's That Baby, where freshmen were very proactive in guessing the identity of the person based on their childhood pictures, as well as Scramble Eggs, a scavenger hunt game where freshmen had to go around their house to find relevant items. So most of the games received positive feedbacks and allowed them to learn more about one another. And to ensure that they are mentally prepared for school, we also had a Q&A segment with seniors from different courses. So we also incorporated storyline videos, which shows the different key locations and routes in SOC as a guide for freshmen to navigate around school. And we would like to thank the publicity and videography team for making it possible. And last but not least, we also included a Zoom photo shoot and Zoom challenge segment, which allowed freshmen to look back at the photos and videos taken so that they can remember their experience in EFOP.
Thank you, Trisha. I'll now be taking you through an overview of the actual EFOP program itself. So on day 1, we conducted a series of icebreaker games for freshmen to get to know more about each other. And then we proceeded to solidify these bonds formed through the various station games that we had planned out. Then we had a Zoom challenge and Zoom photo shoot session on day 2 as memorabilia of the program. They also had inter-OG battle games followed by a finale. This is one of the pictures from one of the sessions that we conducted. We generally had a positive response to our event as seen from the testimonials. Even for those who found it a little exhausting or even mundane to a certain extent, we were actually very appreciative of the efforts and acknowledged the difficulty in organizing such a session over Zoom. Our expenditure for the last AY is as follows. The first 3 items on this list indicate our expenditure for EFOP alone. The rest of the expenditure comes from the requirements of the camps such as the Nusuvan course as well as the first aid courses, as well as the requirements of other events such as REC. So overall for FOP cell,
we actually had a deficit of $3,353.70. Now, without covering every single detail of our AAR, I would like to give a brief overview of what's important. Operationally, we found that we were able to conduct a pretty smooth EFOP event. Admin-wise, most situations were planned for, and whatever was preventable was prevented. Briefings were conducted beforehand, so everyone was informed and knew exactly what they needed to do. But where we do actually have room for improvement, and a lot of it actually, is in the quality of the games and activities that we organize. So moving forward from EFOP, we'll strongly encourage the next committee to use the template that we have and work on improving the various sections and components of the games. By doing this, they'll be able to reach out to more students, including international students, and those who can't commit to a 4-day, 3-night camp. More importantly, the knowledge and know-how in conducting such an event is transferred to subsequent batches. So when the next pandemic occurs many years from now, the next FOP batch will be prepared to simply scale this event up in order to respond to such a situation. Now, the key issue that we faced in FOP this year was a lack of proper documentation. And this is especially an issue for a content-heavy department like FOP. So essentially, each batch has to kind of like start from scratch. So in order to improve upon this situation, we have come up with a much more detailed guide. So our juniors will have to worry less about the lower level operational details and can focus on the higher level issues, such as how to ensure engagement of their committee members in the long term. On that note, I'd like to thank all the following groups of people who have made FOP possible this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Vinod and Shisha, and thank you, Student Life Win, for presenting. Now we will have a short Q&A session for Student Life Win. So if anyone have any question, can leave it in the Zoom chat. And same as before, we'll be waiting for 1 minute. If there are no questions, we'll be moving on to External Relations Wing. Let's welcome Jet, the VP of External Relations, to present first.
Oh, hi. Can everyone hear me and see my slides?
Yep.
Okay, great.
I think you're showing the presenter's view.
Oh, I'm showing the presenter's view, is it? Is it better now?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, since you all have done that. Okay, hi. Hello, everybody. My name is Jet. Thank you so much for joining us today, and hope you had an insightful and clear picture of what the student development and student life has done over the past year. So my name is Jet. I'm the Vice President of External Relations, and I will now give my annual general report of the External Relations Wing. Yeah, so in my presentation, I have these 7 key points to cover as shown. And I'll be giving an overview of what the publicity and marketing cell have accomplished, while it will be sharing with you more in detail shortly after. So first and foremost, allow me to thank my 22nd Management Committee and all the club advisors that have made today possible for me and my team. So underneath the title of a Vice President of External Relations, it lies a naive, stressed out, year one computing student, just like everyone else had been here. While I look back, I see myself grew a bit more mature, a bit wiser, and a bit more white hair than I first started with. And I'm absolutely confident that you will gather for yourself a similar, if not an even better experience being part of a team full of passionate and like-minded individuals. This is an amazing opportunity as well as an arduous challenge for anyone. My team and I have constantly pushed past boundaries during our term and left behind a budding legacy that is awaiting its next chapter to be continued by you. If you're someone exploring to step out of your comfort zone and strive to be a better version of yourself while passionate about serving your student body, look no further. Be the change you want to see. So now I'll be sharing with you external relations objective and vision. So as you know, external relations wing, we have both the publicity and marketing cells alongside with us. External relations is responsible for stewarding the NUS computing brand, executing faculty-level marketing initiatives, developing strategic partnerships with external organizations, and overseeing all forms of traditional and social media. At the current global information technology landscape, we look at interconnecting our students within NUS and across various external organizations. We envision building a stronger school of computing identity and foster students' pride in being the school of computing. Now I'll give a general overview of our wing and highlight 3 defining moments during our term. In our efforts to build a stronger school of computing identity, we focus heavily on our branding. New merchandise are being rolled out, such as our first Computing Club major shirts. New strategic partnerships are established or strengthened across the year. New creative ways of building our online and offline presence are accomplished, and new memories are captured and made. As a wing that mainly supports other wings and cells in their events, we look at the way things were done before and make fundamental changes that overall improves the efficiency and effectiveness of our processes. This change can be seen in both the publicity and marketing cells. So another significant milestone that was achieved in my term is the inclusivity of the computing engineering students through a tighter collaboration with the Engine Club. So now allow me to introduce to you my publicity team. At the helm, we have Kwang Ju, the Director of Publicity. Working closely together with him, we have 2 Deputy Directors. Hui Qing is the Director of Graphic Design and Content, while He Yuan is the Director of Photography and Videography. So Publicity Cell serves to publicize and document computing club events. On top of their usual duties, some of the highlights of Publicity Cell this year include Computing Day Graphic Design Giveaway, Humans of School of Computing, Photography Workshop, Graphic Design Focus Team, and Social Media Engagement. So now allow me to introduce to you my marketing cell. Firstly, we have Joanna, the Director of Marketing in charge of sponsorship. And working closely together with her, we have Qing Fang, Director of Marketing in charge of merchandise. So for marketing cell, it serves to support the club's event financially through various fundraising activities and sponsorship sourcing. It also offers a range of computing club merchandise designed for students by students. In the sponsorship side, a new sponsorship kit is designed, a new sponsorship database and email templates are created, and they will serve as a form of reference for future MCs. In the merchandise side, we have came out with our first Computing Club major shirts, a new varsity hoodie, the first varsity, varsity SOC stickers, as well as a socket plushie. So while we conclude our term here as the 22nd Management Committee, our duty as a student of School of Computing never ends. Yeah, I'll leave behind 4 main takeaways I had as the Vice President of External Relations. So firstly, be your team's eye, set a vision for your team, look ahead and be the one to see potential obstacles and anticipate changes ahead. Secondly, be your team's cheerleader, be the one to uplift the spirits of your team and motivates them to strive for more and achieve what they have set themselves out to do. And next, be your team's score tracker, be the one to always keeping score of your team's achievement, be it small or big, and give them the recognition that they very much deserve. And lastly, and most importantly, be part of your team's growth. Your team is as strong as your weakest member. You will be surprised by the fulfillment seeing your team member grow as a leader as well as an individual. I'm extremely grateful to all of you here that have came on board in this journey with me as we leave a mark in the establishment of a more prestigious and functioning computing club for generations of students to come. Now, lastly, this will be my acknowledgement. And first and foremost, we would like to thank Miss Adele. She had been the person that we kept contact with for the whole year, and we have always she have always given very critical feedback to all our ideas. And definitely my team, Huan Ju, Hui Qing, Qi Yuan, Joanna, and Xin Fang, Presidential Wing, and everyone else. So thank you so much for listening to my sharing. Now I will hand my time over to publicity and marketing cell to share more in depth of their cells and their respective accomplishment. Thank you.
Thank you, Jet. Next, we will have the publicity cell. Since there are two sub-teams in publicity cell, we have the graphics team first.
Are you able to view the screen?
Yes.
Okay. So hi, we are the publicity cell. So our directors include myself, Hian, who is in charge of photography and videography, as well as Hui Qing, who is in charge of graphic design. So our objectives as a publicity cell is firstly to provide quality content for the student body, to uphold image and branding of Computing Club, to support other cells in their publicity efforts, as well as boosting the presence of Computing Club. So how have we tried to achieve this is that firstly, we have actually done some major streamlining of requests, where we have made our request form much more comprehensive from the last year's request form. And we also made a direct channel between the members who are involved in the publicity request, as well as the person who's requesting for the publicity. Secondly, we are more proactive in our social media engagement efforts. And we have introduced a lot of more experimental new initiatives, which include Computing Day giveaway, where we actually ask students of from Faculty of Computing as well as the staff to submit their graphic designs, and after which we'll give out prizes to the winning few. Secondly, we also have the joke post, right? Joke post was also to increase the social media engagement by providing funny posts for the student body. And lastly, we also had the Telegram stickers designed by our own graphic team. And we also had a lot of seasonal Telegram stickers for students to spread the stickers and thereby boosting our club's presence. We also have Humans of SOC featuring various students from the Faculty of Computing. And hopefully this will further increase the social media engagement, as well as to enable more students in the computing club to know other students as well. And third, we also aim to cover all computing club events. And we have actually done so. We have a lot of quality photographs right before the COVID actually has stopped a lot of physical events. Yeah, and for the further elaboration of many of the initiatives that we have come up with, I'll pass my time to Hui Qing, who is the Deputy Director of our graphics section.
Okay, thank you, Kwangju. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so hi everyone. I am Hui Qing, the Deputy Director for Graphics. So to outline my presentation, I'll be going through our graphics team's objectives, my team members, and highlights throughout the academic year, and a review of my term and points of improvements that can be made moving forward. So firstly, for our objectives as the graphics team, our main objectives is to uphold the image and branding of our club and to assist with graphic and publicity methods to better promote our club's activities and events as mentioned by the various cells previously. And so to recognize my team, I would like to mention Charmaine, Marcus,
Sorry, guys, it seems like we're having a bit of technical difficulty. Y'all could just be a bit patient with waiting Wi-Fi connection, that'd be great.
Would the photography teams like to present first? Or we'll have the marketing cell to present.
Hi, okay, marketing can go first. Right, can everyone see my screen? Okay, wait. Does it work if I, okay. Oh, shit. Okay, hi everyone, welcome to the marketing cell. So, okay, let me just introduce, wait, can you see my mouse by the way? If I circle something, you all see?
Yeah, I think you can see your mouse.
Okay, you can see. Okay, yeah. So welcome to marketing. So, in the marketing cell, there's me, Chin Fang, in charge of merchandise, and there's also Joanna, who's in charge of sponsorships. So we work together with Jetta for this. Okay, so moving on to the objectives. So what we do is we mainly provide like the financial support to run events in competing club. So we spearhead fundraising efforts through both merchandise and sponsorship. So we sell merchandise to raise funds, and we also source for sponsorship to finance our club events in general. So today, there'll be two parts to this. So I'll be sharing for the first part, and then we will have Joanna to cover sponsorships. Okay, so welcome to merchandise. Okay, let me introduce everyone to my team over here. So the first picture was at the very beginning of our club term. So, and then in the middle, we have our first sales. And yeah, this was our meeting. So a very happy Sem 1 when we can all still meet physically in real life. Okay, so how the merchandise team works is that each of our subcom members are in charge of one merchandise item. So we're very happy to give all of our members a chance to take ownership of something in this term with us. So we have Ing Sing, who is our head designer, and Lundi in charge of shirts and hoodies, Zhi, who has been working on the socket plush keychains, Sylvia on the tote bags, Dai's on lanyards, Terrence on laptop covers and logistics, and Willie on laptop stickers. Okay, so when we first began, we had these three things in mind. So we wanted to have more merchandising platforms and raise student awareness for all the sales that we have or the events that we have. And we want to make the design of our merchandise a lot better, and also to better brand and market ourselves. But along this term, we kind of shifted a bit. So we shifted to focus more on fostering a stronger sense of identity and school pride for SOC students. And we also strive to have more students carrying more of this SOC merch around so that we can establish a stronger branding and school pride in general. So how we do this is through creating new merchandise and creating more awareness for our sales and such. Okay, so now I'll just bring everyone through the process for our team. So when we first began at the start, we were discussing on what types of merchandise we would like to roll out. Secondly, we started to source for suppliers, and this is where each of our members who are in charge of one item each, they really went to source for suppliers. After that, we did student voting. So this is where we tried to give students a voice and a say in terms of what kind of merchandise they want to see, what design they want to have. Because I don't know, generally, like some of us may have like different thoughts on like how the merchandise can look better, how it can be better. So yeah, we wanted to give students a voice in that. Following that, we also conducted a survey even so that we can cover more of these voices in school. And we were able to successfully hit 376 respondents. And also a reason why we managed to hit so many people is because we conducted a free giveaway, like a showing lucky dip. So that was quite fun. Yeah. Okay, moving on in SEM 2, we finally got approval from our staff advisor to really start producing major shirts, tote bags, and laptop stickers. So these are new merchandise that only launched during our term. So it's something that we are very, very proud of. Following that, we went into production. And then we conducted our merchandise sales in week 13 and we sold 770 shirts. So this is something that we are really, really proud of. And the response has been really great now, honestly. And after that, towards the end of the SEM, we got approval to produce our socket plush keychains. So we'll be able to see them very, very soon. Okay, so we have been working during summer as well. So we have been producing the keychains and we did another round of voting for varsity hoodies that will be coming up too. And yeah, generally got approval. And now we are working to restock on our merchandise because they're quite popular, so they're selling out, okay? Yeah, so we are working to restock those. Yeah, so no worries if you wanted to buy them previously but they're running out of stock. I'm quite sure that in the next term, we'll probably organize another sale soon. Okay, so just to sum up this term, I'm going to highlight a few points where we did well in. So I believe that our team has worked pretty well together because each of us were able to take ownership of the merchandise that we're in charge of, and the communication has been pretty good. And we've managed to improve on the design and the variety of the merchandise that we offer, and as well as offer better quality shirts. So this time around, we reduce our profit margin by a little bit so that our students can receive better quality shirts. And I believe that this is something that we will all appreciate as students of SOC. And we also improved on the marketing, where we did product photo shoots and we did quite a bit of publicity on social media so that our students will always be aware of sales and not be like, oh, the sales over already, I didn't even know. Yeah, and so I believe that with the major shirts as well, we are really working on establishing our school pride and branding. So here are some numbers. We brought in 5 new merchandise items this year. Really, really proud of this, and really great thanks to my team who have helped me with this. Earned about 11K in revenue. And so finally, I'll just run through all of the merchandise that we brought in. So firstly, we have our major shirts. I believe most of us here have it. We have our competing tote bag. We have our laptop sticker that we gave out together with our sale. And yeah, this is a new merchandise that's coming soon. Not yet, but coming soon. It's our socket plush keychains. I hope everyone is excited. And lastly, we have our varsity hoodie, which will be coming soon too. Yeah, so looking ahead, I hope that in the next term for the next batch, we can work on having more social media engagement and having giveaways to raise more awareness. We hope to have an online store where users can just make purchases from anywhere, and as well as to have a better logistics system to categorize our inventory and stuff. Yeah, so now I'll pass the time on to Joanna, who will talk about sponsorship.
Hi everyone, so I'll be talking about the sponsorship part of marketing. So basically this year we focus on setting foundations and maintaining and sustaining partnerships. So for the setting foundations part, not yet back. Okay, so for this year, we look into setting foundations to streamline the processes of future sponsorship teams. So the sponsorship kit underwent quite a major revision with the addition of new tiers and a clearer and more aesthetic layout. And additional things like a sponsorship drive was also created which allowed the subcommittee and the whole team to have a more comprehensive bookkeeping of past and current sponsors by consolidating the list of sponsors into a compiled database. And for partnerships, we looked into continuing to maintain and sustain these partnerships and connect with companies that align with our club's focus. Yeah, next. Okay, so these are the things that we did for setting foundations. So the objectives of the KIDS revision was honestly to allow the sponsorship team to better cater to the various organizations and to better communicate with the sponsors. Additionally, the creation of a shared sponsorship email allowed for more active involvement from the subcommittee, as well as more effective tracking for successive sponsorship teams. A review on this setting foundations. So the revision of the kit we felt was of great help to the team in communicating with the sponsorship organization and more efficiently come to a mutually beneficial position for both parties. And the shared sponsorship email and drive was particularly valuable to the development of the subcommittee as it allowed them to directly liaise with the sponsors over email, which was not possible in previous terms. Additionally, for partnerships, okay, next slide. There was a shift towards fully centralized marketing. So that meant like the marketing cell took on most of the sourcing for the rest of the cells, like with exception for niche events like Bash, which was cancelled this year. And together with the consolidation of sponsorship for every event, the team also provided manpower to aid in licensing with sponsorship organizations. In addition, a sponsorship request document was also done up to allow for better record keeping. So in semester one, when COVID-19 was not yet blazing, we secured like some sponsors for the exam welfare pack, and we worked together closely with the freshman orientation project cell from the beginning of term and actively sourced for sponsors to support the sales events that were been held in semester two. However, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, they were unable to follow through with many of the terms agreed upon with many of the in-kind sponsors that we previously secured. So this is something that we will continue to work on in the future when the COVID-19 dies down. So later on, the team also collaborated with the academic license cell in securing a sponsor, IHIS, for the Lifehack 2020 Datathon event that was planned. So this shift towards centralized marketing we felt was quite useful in terms of record keeping, as well as maintaining professionalism when it came to licensing with sponsors, as it really made sure that the same sponsoring organization will not be contacted twice. And this collaboration with other cells also meant that the respective cells could focus more on the planning of their events as opposed to spending manpower sourcing for sponsorship. Okay, next slide. So my final words to successive teams would be to start early in sourcing for sponsors, because mainly a lot of the MNCs, they allocate their budget pretty early. So I think for this term, we failed to secure many of the bigger sponsors in the beginning of our term. So this is something that the successive sponsorship teams could look towards doing. And next teams could also look towards keeping records for ease of future referral, as we've started doing from this term. And always grasp opportunities, always be on the lookout for things that may be able to benefit the student body in the Faculty of Computing. Okay, next slide. Okay, so for our closing words.
We would just like to thank everyone for your support this whole while, especially to the students for being so supportive of the new things that we wrote out. And we also like to thank the other cells that have collaborated with us, and as well as finance for always helping us with our records and stuff. Yeah. Join anything else? Okay, so with that, we've come to the end of our presentation today. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Chinfa and Joanna. So now we'll pick up from where we left off just now, the publicity sales presentation.
Sorry, can everyone see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay. So sorry for the technical difficulty just now. Yeah, okay, so I think I will just start my presentation again. So hello everyone, I am Hui Qing and I am the Deputy Director for Graphics. So to outline my presentation, I'll be going through our graphic team's objectives, my team members, highlights throughout the academic year, and a review of my team and points of improvements that can be made moving forward. So to start off, our team's objectives is to uphold the image and the branding of our club and to assist with graphic and publicity matters to better promote our club's activities and events. So for our team, we have Charmaine, Marcus, Jarvis, Sibin, Joel, Yuxi, Sihan, Suin, and Sean Lee. So for the highlights, firstly, when the members first joined, they attended graphics workshop to help them learn the basics of how to use common editing softwares and how to do basic illustrations, especially for those who did not have experience. So if you are looking to join graphics and you don't have any past experience, do not be afraid of joining us. And next, we also had more social media initiatives, such as the Telegram sticker packs mentioned by Kwangju and Jet previously. And as of now, when we are speaking, the total usage and total number of installations for the stickers are still increasing. And we hope that for the subsequent batches of computing club members, they can continue this initiative to further improve the usability of this sticker pack. And also, we have another social media initiative, which is the comic posts on Instagram. And from past experience, these comic posts generally had higher number of likes than average posts. So I believe this is indicative that our students enjoyed these posts really much. And I believe that these posts has also helped us to gain more followers on our Instagram and Facebook platforms. And also another initiative on our side is the graphics design giveaway, which was initiated by us just this year. And basically we invited students of SOC to design graphics on their own so that we can bring out the creativity in our students. And these are the winning entries in the end. So they also receive prizes. And due to the COVID-19 situation, the prizes will actually be given out after the school is able to reopen and they can visit the school again. So one more thing is the revamping of graphic request process, which is how the other cells in the computing club actually reach out to us to help them with their graphic requests. So mentioned by Kwangju just now, we have also included more specificity for the request form and creating Telegram groups for ease of communication so that it can create a more conducive platform for people who are involved to communicate with each other how they want the designs and the graphics to turn out. So a review of all the events that we have done. So I think it's commendable that we actually took up every graphic request from other cells, and it's a good effort on our team to kickstart many initiatives such as the comic posts, the sticker packs, and the giveaways. And due to the COVID-19 situation, it was also quite challenging to handle all the graphic requests due to a backlog of them, and we had to handle them concurrently. So moving forward, here are some points of improvements that we can make. So firstly, I think this is one of the more crucial points, which is a lack of encouragement or incentive for graphic member recruitment and taking up of requests. And one suggestion is that perhaps we can consider a small commission fee and platforms to credit their work, which may be put to use if we engage external vendors for our own members. And planning ahead, I believe that with cooperation from all the cells to spread out the graphic requests, especially due to the lack of graphic members, it can help us to plan better and to handle the workload for each member more properly. And so lastly, I would like to recognize all of the people who have helped us in one way or another, and to specially mention that if you have not seen our posts, our graphic contents, please do look at our social media platforms for the past event works and graphics that each member has contributed. So here are the list of the members which I have mentioned just now, and I would genuinely like to thank them for their work throughout the whole semester, especially since publicity is a supporting role for all the cells. So they have had to work throughout the semester, not just for a particular event. So really thank you to all of them. And that is the end of my sharing. Thank you.
Thank you, Hui Qing. Next, we have the photography team of publicity cell.
Hi, Hui Qing, can you unshare your slides? Hi, can everyone hear me? Hi, so I'm the publicity deputy director for photography, and I will be going through the review of the past year. So I will only have 5 minutes, so I will go through the highlights of the past year for the Photoc cell. So the objectives for the Photoc cell is to provide quality coverage for all the events within computing, and to like capture memories to share with the student body, and also to portray a positive image for computing club through professional coverage. So the first event that the Photoc cell went through was the 22 MC photo taking. So the formal photo shoot includes all the main committee members. So whenever there's a new MC, so there will be a formal photo shoot for the members to have. So it was a one-day event in the afternoon. The indoor shoot was held at KE Photo Room, and the outdoor shoot was held at U-Town. So the objective was to allow committee members to have their individual and cell photos taken in formal wear. So the time allocated for this event was 2 hours for the individual shots and 2 hours for the outdoor shots. Okay, for the review of this event, the shoot went along quite smoothly, and the ordering was assigned based on which members had like other commitments. So if got one member have like other commitments, then he will go first. Then one thing to improve was that for the outdoor shoot, next time for other future MCs, I would recommend to enforce the duration for the outdoor individual shoot. Because what happened for our shoot was that like everyone wanted more than they wanted like 5 to 6 shots for each person. They want like couple shot, individual shot, fun shot, whatever shot. Then it's like it took longer than expected. So future MCs take note of this. Second event that we went through was the photography workshop. So this is a one-day photography workshop. It was organized by our publicity team to teach the incoming what do you call it? Sorry, it's to teach the incoming members who want to join Photoc with the adequate technical knowledge. So it was a 1 hour. It was a 1 hour thing where the publicity where we gathered at 6 p.m. in the computing club room, where we went through the camera basics like exposure, ISO, and shutter speed, and went through went through a bit of Lightroom as well. So after the presentation, there was a hands-on session where members were quizzed on the concepts. So the review about this, the event was quite smoothly conducted. However, if you want to improve the skills of the members, they not only have to know the settings and all of the camera settings, they also have to practice, which I feel like this year not many members participated in the actual shootings. So for the next MCs, maybe this can be improved. Okay, lastly, there is the photography editing workshop, which was held recently. So this was to teach the management community members the basics of photo editing, specifically on the features and functions of Lightroom. So this was during the pandemic. So the workshop was conducted through Zoom. So before the workshop, like participants were asked to submit their own personal photos, which will be edited during the workshop. So this event was carried out smoothly with no hiccups. So the feedback that was given was that the participants learned a lot of new tips and tricks, which they could apply to their own photos. Lastly, we have humans of SOC. So what happens is that the publicity team will post photos of students into our own Instagram account. So Humans of SOC features various students from computing faculty so as to increase social engagement with the student body and enable students to know more about the students who are in the same faculty as them.
Okay, thank you, Hyuan. So these are all our presenters for External Relations Wing. Now we have the Q&A session for External Relations Wing. If there is any question, can leave it in the Zoom chat. We'll wait for 1 minute. If there is no question, we will be moving on to Internal Relations Wing. Firstly, we will have Neil, the VP of Internal Relations.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Can you all see my slides? It's not in presenter's view. Okay. Hi guys, I'm Neil. I'm the Vice President for Internal Relations. This is the Internal Relations Wing. At the start of the MC, we set out a few objectives for ourselves for the Internal Relations Wing. Primarily, we were looking at providing avenues for students to take part in non-academic activities so that they can lead a more holistic life within School of Computing. This objective was set as we saw that our wings sort of complement the student development wing, the academic liaison and community service side. And the second objective was to give students opportunities to distress and reconnect with their fellow friends in School of Computing. These were the overall objectives for internal relations. Okay, introducing to you my internal relations core team. We have Jia and Jean from Welfare Cell, myself, and Terry and Sydney from the Sports Cell side. Okay, so moving on to some of the events that we had over our entire term.
Sorry to
For the work. Sorry?
Slides is a bit small. Like, is it possible to make it bigger?
Okay, wait, give me a second. Is this better?
Yeah, but I think it's in presenter's view.
Oh, shucks. Okay, I'm so sorry. Just give me a while.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, this should work.
Yeah.
Okay, so first off, we have the welfare cell, Jia and Jean. Okay, so some of the events that we had for the welfare cell was movie night where we screened the movie Joker. Uh, we partnered up with cinema outside, and we got tickets and snacks for people as well for the viewing of Joker. We had the exam welfare pack in semester 1 as well. We had about 1,000 of the welfare packs, and all of them were given out. And upcoming events would be the Welcome Back Welfare Pack, which is coming up next week on Monday and Tuesday. Yeah, and we actually had another event planned out. It was supposed to be a sort of welfare carnival where but due to COVID, like it got cancelled. So yeah. Okay, moving on to the sports cell. We had quite a few events lined up for this year. For the previous year, apologies, Terry and Sydney. Yeah, it was supposed to have SOC night cycling, which got cancelled at the last minute due to circuit breaker measures. Sports carnival, something similar to the previous sports camp that was held in SOC, and as well as the freshman orientation program sports day, which did not happen since FOP was shifted to an online platform. And the upcoming event would be inter-faculty games, which is going to be happening in December as decided by the IFG board. So for my review, I would say that overall we had quite a challenging start for ourselves as an incumbent MC. For our wing side, I felt like we had quite a rushed subcommittee recruitment. But regardless, I think this was very well handled by the directors. Regardless, overall, I felt like we could have engaged the student population better. Given the COVID-19 situation, it was really difficult to outreach the students, given the nature of welfare and sports activities that generally require physical contact in terms of being together in a group and engaging them through bonding activities. Yeah. Some points of improvement that I have noticed. There was a notable lack of participation before the pandemic for sports activities, even in the previous years. I had hoped that this year we could try to increase the participation rate, but given the inability for us to conduct sports activities, I think it was a bit tough for us to achieve this point. Perhaps the next MC can look at increasing the incentives for joining the sports activities. That was somewhat planned for in the sports carnival, where we were planning to have prize giveaways for winners, the winning teams. But guess we couldn't really see that come into fruition. So hopefully the next MC can look into doing something like that. Also, I was thinking that maybe we could have a larger sum allocated for welfare for the directors themselves, as well as the subcommittee, so that we can hold more activities for the directors and subcommittees for bonding, especially for our sports and welfare side. I just want to do some slides of recognition for the subcommittee that was bearing with us for all the last minute changes that came in due to COVID and all the measures that happened. So this is the sports subcommittee that I'd like to mention. I think they've done a very good job. We actually did a night cycling recce, and these were the people that were there, and we have our project director as well. And also including the sports carnival subcommittee, the people that were planning it, project director and vice project director. Here are the welfare subcommittee. I'm very proud of them. They were very supportive of us throughout all our events, and all the stuff that generally people are very hesitant to do, like the Saikang stuff. I'm very happy that they were able to help us. Okay, so onward to my conclusion. I'm very glad that despite the pandemic, we were somewhat able to overcome the obstacles that were posed to us. We were able to provide avenues for students to take part in non-academic activities. And we were also able to give students opportunities to de-stress and reconnect with their fellow friends as outlined by the objectives. So I would say generally we have met the objectives that we set out as Wing from the start of the MC. Yes, that is all from me. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Neil. Next up, we will have the sports cell. The welfare cell, sorry. Okay, I guess the sports can present first. I'm sorry, guys.
Hi everybody, I'm Sydney and I'm the deputy sports director. I'll be introducing on the sports cell and also our night cycling event that we had planned, followed by Terry, who will elaborate more on the other events that we had. So our vision during our term was to help computing students to obtain a holistic education and foster camaraderie through sports by organizing events. Hence, our responsibilities are to think of like the types of projects that will help us to fulfill those visions. And we also supervise and coordinate with project directors to make these events possible. And we support these events by liaising with other cells. Yeah, our last responsibility would be to help coordinate with NUSU to facilitate IFG by helping them find members. And IFG has been a great platform as it helps the year one to find a supportive community during trainings, especially when most orientation has been moved online. Next. So the events that we felt met our objectives that we had planned were night cycling, as it allows participants to work with small comfortable groups, and sports carnival that was supposed to help to strengthen friendships through sportsmanship, and FOP Sports Day that was supposed to help freshies to find new sports and explore their options for IFG. Next. We will now be elaborating on Night Cycling 2020 that we had planned. So night cycling would have served as a platform for computing students to catch up with their friends as the semester began, strengthening their friendships for the incoming semester. Unfortunately, during the planned February period, COVID had become an impeding problem and the event had to be called off. Nonetheless, to recognize the efforts by all the cells that has made the planning possible, firstly, marketing that helped us obtain sponsored drinks. Sorry, next. Yeah, so firstly, marketing that helped us to obtain sponsored drinks and snacks and also sponsored shirts to help energize the participants and also publicize the event well such that we could obtain participation, and also collaborating with NUSU for their sponsored events. Also the cooperation of the sports cell, and we managed to recce our routes that help to ensure the participation, the safety of our participants. So now I'll be passing the time to Terry. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sydney. I'll be continuing with the elaboration of our events. So now I'll be talking about the SOC Sports Carnival 2020. The main objective of the carnival was supposed to be a bonding activity for all our computing students, to expose them to an opportunity to participate in IFG. And also, it was an opportunity to source for potential SOC IFG players. Initially, the project was planned to happen on 29 June, 8:30 to 6 p.m. And it was supposed to take place at NUS, USC area, and Newtown area. Yeah, the team sports range from basketball to tug of war. And it was supposed to be a carnival setting, which has the inclusion of game stores, food stores. Yeah, just basically it was just like a carnival setting where everybody can have fun. And there was a point system at the end of the day for each team to score points, and the highest scoring point team can win a grand prize. So the project was planned, and we actually have our draft 1 planned out already. It was all looking good until the event has to be cancelled off. Yeah, we were informed by our advisor to call it off, unfortunately. So next, I'll be moving on to the FOP sports days. These are the planned dates and venues, which are now not very important anymore because it was also cancelled off. But basically, it was organized for freshmen to try out different kinds of sports. Then during the games, referees will teach them the rules of the sports and how to play it. It was to expose those incoming freshmen to IFG 2020. Yeah, basically what I've already said. Everything was already in planning, such as the schedule matrix and booking of venues, but unfortunately it was called off. So next up, this is the event that's most likely happening. The projected date of it is December, this coming winter period, and it will be happening on our very own NUS Cambridge campus. So these are the important dates. 12 October would be the last call for whether IFG 2020 will occur. And NUSU side is now deliberating whether it will still happen. Yeah. So if it were to happen, the opening will be online on 5th December, and the IFG games will tentatively be from 6th December to 28th December. Yep. So last but not least, in this whole term, we would like to thank the marketing cell for their sponsorships and shirt designing, Pub Cell for the publicity of events and signups, IT Secretary Yuan for the designing of our website and updating it regularly, and FOP side for the collaboration and planning of our sports days, and also our advisor, Ms. Adele Chiu, for the booking of venues and administrative issues. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Terry and Sydney. Next, we'll have the welfare cell.
Hi guys, can you hear me? Hi, I'm Jean. I'm the Director of Welfare, and with me is Jai, who's the Deputy Director. So together, we spearhead initiatives to provide avenues for our students to have fun, bond, and relax. And ultimately, eventually we want to, at the end of the day, promote the mental well-being of our student population. So what are these initiatives that we have come up with? So the first one was movie night, which was done pretty early on, a couple of weeks after we were elected into the MC. So movie night, as what Neil mentioned, we booked out a whole movie theater and we ran a whole survey to do for the students to watch Joker. For exam welfare pack giveaway, it was also done in semester 1, close to the finals paper, and the results of these two events were a success. For movie night, we managed to book out the whole entire theater, and all 1,000 packs were actually given away during our exam welfare pack giveaway. So we actually planned to do another exam welfare pack giveaway in semester 2, but again, due to COVID, we were advised to cancel it off. And when the semester started, we decided to push this welfare pack giveaway to a welcome back welfare pack giveaway, which is actually happening in a couple of days' time, next Monday. So if you haven't signed up, do sign up. So Jia will be telling you more about what we did well and what we could have improved better.
Thank you, Jean. So moving forward, I'll be talking about how we reflect on what we have done throughout the term. And the few things that we did well will include how efficient we were in our packing, especially because the packing usually happens near the final periods. So it is a good thing that our subcommittee are very committed and they help us a lot in the packing of our welfare packs. And also for us, I think that we successfully involved our subcom members for all our events very well. And we even gave them the chance to plan some of the events. Yeah. And an area for improvement will be making the welfare pack collection more efficient because for what we did in Sem 1, there was a very long queue for all the students to queue for collecting the welfare pack. So that's an area that it would be good if we can improve on it. Yeah. And the cancelled events would be the welfare pack carnival and the Sem 2 welfare pack giveaway, which will be pushed forward. Yeah. And it has been a very fulfilling and satisfying journey for Jean and I. And both of us are very excited to meet the next welfare directors. And to make things easier for the incoming directors, we have consolidated the important contacts, some advices, and protocols that y'all can keep in mind. Yeah. So lastly, I'd like to thank our subcommittee, Vice President Neil, and the rest of the Computing Club main committee for helping us throughout this journey. And we would not have been able to achieve what we did without all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jing and Jia. Okay, this concludes the Internal Relations Wing's presentation. Now we'll move on to the Q&A session. We'll wait for 1 minute. Just leave any questions in the Zoom chat. If there is no question, I guess we have come to the end of the 22nd Annual General Meeting. We would like to thank everyone who took the time to come down and watch our Zoom conference, and of course our own management committee for stepping forward and present themselves. Yeah. So we have come to the end. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
everyone.
Thanks for coming down, guys.